This is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com with another episode of Fast Action Fridays. Today, my special guest is Karen Flynn from Vancouver, way over on the other side of the continent from me. And we are talking about making brave decisions, even when it makes others around us uncomfortable. That can be a tricky minefield to navigate, I know from experience. Karen, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on your podcast. I've had a wonderful journey and I'm so grateful. I started off in a little tiny country on the edge of South America. And I've had a tremendous career, my first career, I call it, in communications, working with very large multinational companies. Over 22 years, I had a remarkable journey across Asia, where I was searching for my roots, if you will, and lived in 4 different continents, built a fabulous career, and became an entrepreneur finally in 2008.
Wow.
And that really kind of shifted my perspective on, what self-made is like and what it's all about and the joys of that journey. And I truly understand what it's like being an entrepreneur, the highs and lows, making tough decisions, and the need to really take care of yourself. So this year has, made that even, it has all come home for me even more. I became a coach after I stepped back from corporate life. And I was thinking, okay, if I step back from corporate life, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I went to a wonderful coach in the UK, and the gifts that she gave me, she unpacked all of this stuff that I had learned over the years. The gifts she gave me, I just thought, I would really love to do that for other people. So I kind of fell into coaching. And I did the whole training and certification. And the last 4 years, I've just loved it. It's been a huge journey for me.
I can understand that kind of falling into coaching because I came from more of a consultant position, even though I was self-employed with my first husband on a dairy farm of all things, but I cut my teeth in PR and marketing with Farm Bureau and did a lot of work with them, learned a lot, and just kept broadening what I was doing. So that's cool. Where do we start? What is the first action step that we can take quickly when it comes to making brave decisions?
I think one of the things from my experience, just looking at myself and, really witnessing the first 50 years of my life, it's from a very young age, I acknowledged that I really engaged my instinct. I used my intuition very well as a young woman. And I think many times as human beings, we forget that our instinct is there for a reason. Mm-hmm. We tend to just listen to what's going on up here and forget all the feelings that we feel down here. And that for me is tragic, because as an entrepreneur, you could be making a lot of decisions, but there's something, you can't put your finger on it, but there's something that doesn't sit well. I think people should really start to re-engage their instincts and listen to it, because it's there for a very good reason.
Yeah, you're speaking to the choir here. I totally agree with you that way too many people ignore their intuition. To me, it's not that extra sense that only some people have. You're born with it. I think a lot of people are scared out of acknowledging it or using it around the age they transition from 4 and 5, that cutesy stage, to 6, 7, and 8. And suddenly these stories that were cute, now they're being told, no, that's not true, or you're lying, and way too many children are taught to hide their intuition or ignore their intuition and grow into adults not either trusting it or acknowledging it. So love to hear you say that as one of the first steps is to acknowledge that. That's awesome.
Yep. I think the things that I hear coming out of people mouths are still, oh, don't do that. Don't feel like that. Don't, it's like, really, what's prompting you to feel like that? Why? Where's that coming from? And the more honest we are with why we're feeling scared, worried about what's happening, it it's telling us a story. And the other thing that I speak to clients about it is, when you're feeling something, and if your business model or what you're doing impacts a lot of people around you, you pay attention, you listen with your eyes, and you listen to the body language that you're seeing around you. Because when things land on people differently, that as well, that's telling you a story. And what information, what data are you taking back from that? So really hone in on your listening. It's not just listening to answer a question, listening to fix something. It's listening to see what sort of impact you actually could be making.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's something many entrepreneurs can sharpen, because they've got a plan, they've come up with an idea, they've rolled out their 3-year, strategies, but they forget to listen and check in with themselves and with the people around them that they're trying to impact.
Exactly. That's why I'm so focused on helping people rock their unique path to success. Because if you're only or always just trying to follow what someone else did, and you're ignoring what your heart, soul is saying to you, what your gut is saying to you, it's difficult, if not impossible, to be successful and happy at the same time.
Absolutely. And that's a tough, I love the way, you've written that up as this is what your mission is through your podcast. And I love that, because one of the brave things for entrepreneurs to do is accept when you need to adapt, change, pivot. And it can be really quite daunting. I've done it. Could I ever imagine myself as a coach? No, because I kept thinking, coaches, touchy-feely, I'm just not that type. I've lived my whole career from up here, and so I come from that world. And what would I be like as a coach? People would be scared to talk to me. But actually, I'm a direct coach. I shoot from the hip. I tell clients, if you don't want to hear the truth, I'm not your coach. but it's, entrepreneurs have to listen to the truth, what's going on in them, what's going on in front of them, and be willing to pivot, to make those changes, and accept that it's for the betterment of how they're going to interact and fix the businesses. So
what is the biggest issue that you help people deal with that come to you for coaching?
I think the largest challenge that I see from entrepreneurs and some startups, it's they get their idea off the ground. They're super excited, they're motivated, they have that hunger. And then about maybe 2 years into it, they really kind of lose their way. They get stuck. It's kind of rinse, repeat, but they're not making money. They do not have the same motivation and drive, and they're wondering what's next. And my advice to these clients would be, well, reflect on why you started this idea in the first place. What is it that you were trying to achieve? And if you're not a non-for-profit, don't be embarrassed to say you want to make money. We're in business to make money. We got to pay our rent. We have to put food on the table. We have bills. So how are you going to make money? So really face those hard truths, if you like, and relook at your market. Who are you trying to target? Who's your audience? Where are they now, 2 years later? are they still in the place that you thought they might be, or have they moved on and make that shift? Meet your customers where they're at.
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
sometimes is a very hard thing to do, to pivot to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things as well is, particularly this year, but always, we know the life of an entrepreneur is those. There's, peaks and troughs. Take care of yourself. You can't be creative and innovative and have that motivation if you're not taking good care of yourself. So take the time to slow down, reset, and do what it takes to keep your creativity and your hunger for success in peak optimum performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get back to the core of how I introduced this episode, and that's making brave decisions even when it's uncomfortable for those around us. Can you give us some examples of that in reality?
Yes, absolutely. Recently, I've actually coached a client who is a very successful lawyer. They've been a lawyer for 15 years. They're very good at it, but it's really racking their health. They didn't like it. They haven't liked being a lawyer for at least the last 7 years. Now, that person is about to make a big shift, and it's going to freak their partner out, right? So we had a long chat about that. I mean, and that's a reality. Many people having to change their careers because it's taking its toll on their health. How do you do that? How do you start that conversation with your partner, knowing that you've got a mortgage, you've got car payments, you're just paying down other things? It's a tough place to be in. But actually, you have to start somewhere. And I always say, start that conversation. It may end up you still sticking with what you're in now for at least another year, but start the conversation, because your health is not worth any career path that you're good at, but you have no passion for.
Mm-hmm. I've actually had more than one.
Entrepreneurs are coming.
Oh, I've actually had more than one client who was afraid to have that type of conversation. And when they finally started it, the reaction from the spouse was, I've been waiting for you to say this. I've noticed this. It's like, I didn't think you were ever going to get there. And if I was wrong, I didn't want to bring it up first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your partner, they want for you, they want you to be healthy and happy and not feeling the stress that they witness every day, every week. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
And if wannabe entrepreneurs, I would say, they're in a job and they're getting that, the paycheck every month, but they want to become an entrepreneur. How do you start? How do you give up the security of that paycheck because you feel like you have a great idea? And I speak to people, it's like, what is your passion for this? Why do you think it's going to succeed? What is it going to give you that this security of a paycheck isn't giving you right now? And again, it's starting that dialogue with yourself and with the people around you that, they're probably going to support you more than you think, because they've seen how stressed you are.
I think the other part that goes with that is, unless you have that honest discussion with yourself, you may only be seeing what you think is required of being an entrepreneur. And some people, when they really get into it, realize, and this was true for one of my siblings, she thought she wanted her own business, but she wanted nothing to do with any of the aspects of actually doing it. She didn't want to be involved with the marketing. She could deliver the service, but she didn't want a business to handle. And that's an important distinction too. And you don't get that unless you do what you're advising and having an honest conversation with yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To be able to list out, okay, I'm good at this. I'm rubbish at this. I will need help with this, or I can get my idea I've started and it gains momentum. I will definitely need help in this area. And you have to admit it, because we're not experts in everything. I don't do my own books. I'm a terrible accountant. Why would I try? Or I don't try and do social media. I know what I would like done, but I just don't have the patience. So I get people to help. And it just allows you to do the things that you're passionate about, you're good at, you have
Mhm.
a talent for. And it alleviates the stresses of trying to, oh my God, I have to do an hour of bookkeeping. Oh, it's just, yeah, not worth it.
Don't you find though that for a lot of people of the type that we advise, they often don't see the value in what they're really passionate and good at?
Yeah.
And that's
Yes.
that other little stickler
Yes.
in there.
Yeah, that's a great. I spoke to someone recently. He's in IT. He's been in senior level tech jobs for the last 25 years. And then suddenly he becomes so fearful of the younger tech people coming up and beneath him. And we had several conversations around why are you playing down your expertise, your experience, this 25 years of you growing companies. Look at what it's done. You're not a doer, but you're a thinker. You lend so much more to the company in terms of mentorship, just absolute skill set. And all of these young, hungry tech people below you, they need that. They need somebody to mentor them. And so it was an interesting conversation as to how just 2 years and he forgot just how much he's bringing to the table. Just fear to wonder where that comes from and why. And it's just sitting down and taking a step back and going, nope, I've got this. This is everything I've done, looking at it. So
Is there one bit of advice that you may or may not have already shared that really needs to be looked at if we are absolutely sure someone around us, and we're talking about loved ones and friends in our immediate vicinity, people that we don't like to tip the apple cart with. We want a good relationship with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
What do we do? How do we prepare for that? If it actually occurs, we've had those conversations with ourselves. We're ready to share that conversation with others. How do we navigate when that becomes uncomfortable for someone else?
That's a brilliant question. Um, Honesty. You have to start that conversation with honesty and be transparent that why you would like to make this shift. If it's impacting your well-being, if it's really kind of squashing your passion, your creativity, you have to be honest with the people around you. If they love you, they will find a way to be supportive. It may be very uncomfortable in the beginning.
Mhm.
Chances are it will be highly uncomfortable in the beginning. But if you're speaking from a place of heart and you're saying, I want to try this, I've been thinking about it, I know I'm going to be good at it, I really would like to give this a try. See the passion on your face, they'll see the drive, and they will find it in their hearts to support you. If they don't, then you've got a little bit of convincing to do. But
Or you have to look at that relationship, which is what happened with me when I got very
yes,
successful with my book publishing back in the 1980s and 90s. And my family and in-laws at the time, I don't know if they felt threatened by it or whatever, but I took a step back from that. But I own that decision. I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I
yeah,
had kept that momentum going. But
right,
I, I accept the responsibility for the choice I made at that time. Um,
right, right.
yeah,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is. It can be very uncomfortable, but I think weighing the decision, the growth that you're about to embark on versus shying away from it, where does that leave you? And you're right. If they're unable to be supportive of you, what do you do with those relationships? How do you handle it?
Yep. They're now exes. After 25 years, I
Yeah.
ended up walking away. I want to remind listeners and viewers that Karen does have a free resource for you if you'd like to discuss with her. And look in the description if you're watching this on YouTube for the link for more information and to access that offer. And if you're on the blog post, make sure to read below the video, and that link will be right there. And Karen, you're being very generous with people who book a discovery session with you. And you want people that have seen this to just mention that this is where they found out about you and got the referral link from me. To sit down and discuss what might be going on in their lives on this topic, correct?
Absolutely. And I love you say we juggle. We're managing our life and business and we're juggling. Allow us, come to me and let me know that you've seen the blog or this podcast, and I'll sit down with you and have a nice detailed chat and see
all right,
we can juggle for you effectively and how we can find some clarity.
We have about a minute left. I want you to show even and talk about, since some people will not be able to see the screen, but you've got a wonderful book available. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I do. It's one of my bucket list. I wrote it in 2018, published in 2019, and it's basically go beyond resilience, because I feel there's so much talk about resilience. I feel that we have to find that grit inside of us to make those decisions, to find what's truly resonant. And this book celebrates my first half century, 50 years of failures and successes and questioning myself and going beyond the status quo. And I'm super proud of it. So yeah, look for it. It's on Amazon. To send you a copy, Kat.
I know, I'm looking forward to reading that. So I know that if they don't remember to go check it out on Amazon, you've got things on your website as well. Well, I want to thank you for spending this time with me on Fast Action Fridays. It took a couple of hiccups trying to get connected, but I love the information that you have shared. And it's really, really important to take these steps that you've suggested and make those brave decisions and put yourself in a place to do that. So thank you for being here with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
And this is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com, reminding you to join me next week when I will have another great guest. Until then, remember to keep rocking your unique path to success. Bye-bye.